Hey, it's Lisa with Soulshine, and I'm continuing the deep dive into love. Last month we covered patience, and if you missed any of that, I'll link it below so that you can catch up. This month of February, we are moving into kindness. We're following the 1 Corinthians format of love is patient, love is kind. And this first week of February, I'm going to apply it to myself, yourself. How do we become more kind to ourselves so that we can effectively be more kind to others as well? So jumping right in, this morning I woke up thinking, oh, kindness, it's so great, it's so easy. It's like most soft-spoken person you can imagine, never thinking of self, always thinking of others. Maybe even that paying for the next round at Starbucks kind of kindness. But I think kindness, at least what's referenced in 1 Corinthians and what I'm striving for in this 1 year long journey, is a little bit deeper. And it seems like it's very relative too. Like my definition of kindness is going to be very different than your definition, which makes kindness very unique. And I'll get into that, the importance of unique, towards the end. But so you're going to want to stick along for the ride. But this morning I was trying to describe kindness to myself, and it was like describing the color yellow to someone that had no concept of yellow. And the only thing I could think of was to describe the sun, but that's not really yellow. It's not tangible. It's not something you can really put down on paper what kindness is, which makes it very unique, which is the importance. But like I said, I'll get into that later. So what is kindness? It seems like the current opinion of kindness is flawed and soft. It's definitely hard to find. It's hard to capture. It's hard to see a whole lot of kindness in this world right now. I definitely think it needs more kindness, which is another reason why I'm digging deep into this definition and this, the journey towards love. But the long time, way back definition, the original translation in the Bible was, and I'm going to butcher this definition or this pronunciation, Zarestos. I'll write it right here. But it meant serviceable, useful, productive, being able to do good things. So it doesn't mean doing good things makes you kind. Being kind means being ready to be used to do kind things. So the action doesn't create the definition. So I kind of was liberated by that, because to me it just seems like just another thing to add to my to-do list. Oh, I've got to be kind to somebody today. And if you're in a bad place, that's the last thing you feel like doing, and you definitely will do it poorly. So I liked the fact that the original definition, before we butchered it and dirtied it and made it lighter than it is, was being a useful person, being productive. And I like that definition much better. So to me it means, in order to be useful and ready to be ready, is you have to have some confidence, some knowing of who you are. And kindness, it seems to me, is both soft and solid. It's malleable and able to be used for other people, but it's also firm. Like, I know exactly who I am, and nothing you say can come against that. And we're all so mushy about that fact, that characteristic. Kindness is definitely something that needs to be put on or pursued or practiced. It's not something that, just like kindness, it's not something that's going to be sprinkled upon you, as you wake up. Some people definitely have more kindness than others, but it's definitely something worthy of being pursued and practiced. So in order to be ready to be used for good things, you have to know who you are so that you can effectively do these good things, which delves deeper into who am I. And once I know who I am, then I know how I want to be treated. And then you can know how to treat others better. So the old definitions might be what your mom or your dad said or didn't say about you. Maybe an old boyfriend. I have a girlfriend, God love her, but she bases her beautiful figure on the terrible definitions of a faulty boyfriend years and years ago. And poo-poo on him for putting that into her mind, but But she carries that like baggage for a long time, and she's made so perfectly and so lovely, and it just breaks my heart to hear that he has done that damage. So regardless of whoever said something horrible about you, even if it's seemingly insignificant, those bad things all just need to be washed away and turn to something good. You have to know who you are, and then you have to remind yourself over and over and over again, because the little inner meanness is relentless. It's just nonstop. I know it is for me. I have to know it is for you. It's like that commercial, that way back commercial for Purdue Chicken that had the whole chicken in the fridge, and the guy would come in and pick a little meat off of it and pick a little bit more off. And I think the song was like, pick, 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 pick. Butchered that. But they, over the end of the day, it was just this useless carcass that was gone of all the meat and all the goodness. And that's kind of what that inner meanness does, that over and over, whether it's based on something somebody said to you or your own, faulty fabrication, it just plucks away all the goodness, so that all you're left with is something that's very fragile and malleable with whatever comes up. So it's important to build a good solid base. We're not meant to be tiny. We're not meant to be hidden. We're not meant to worry or fear. And I know that's easy to say. It's worry comes like a wave, and sticks around for way too long. So we're not meant for doubt. We're meant for big and wonderful things. We're meant for lifting up. We're meant for pouring down. We're meant for overflowing. We're meant for spreading light. And we're each so unique in the way that we spread light. And I think the world needs that. I think we all need to be more kind to ourselves so that we can be more effective in the world in a more authentic way, not one that's halfway or overpicked. We have to counter any lie with the truth, and the truth will dissolve anything that comes against it. And it's not going to be easy at first. It's going to take some practice and some putting on, but it's worth it. So you have to replace the lie with the truth over and over and over again until it becomes so ingrained in your bones that you can immediately identify something that rises against you, some lie that comes up, either something that somebody says in the media or a family member. You immediately hear it and be, that doesn't chime well with what I know about myself, so I'm going to call that a lie. I'm going to wash it away. So you have to remind yourself of that truth every single time, and then over time you'll accept anything that's less. The more we hear the truth, the more we tell ourselves the truth, the more we know ourselves. And the more we know ourselves, the more we know what makes us happy. And then also how we deserve to be treated. And then we're able to be ready to be kind to others. I think that you've got to do that work first on yourself before you can try and be kind to others in an effective way, because you don't want to give anybody a half version of yourself. And then we're able to treat others as we wish to be treated. So the Bible verse that originally started this whole journey was, treat others as you wish to be treated. And I think a lot of people don't know how they want to be treated. I mean, you kind of have a gut feeling like, wishy-washy, but if you really dug down deep, do you really know how you want to be treated? And then are you actively treating other people that way? The cool thing that I mentioned in the beginning about the fact that we're all so unique is that everybody's going to respond to kindness different. I'm going to put my version of kindness out there, but your version might be completely different. And that's the cool thing about this world, is that we're always creating something new. We're always being ready for a new way of showing kindness and love. And every person is going to respond differently to that love and that kindness. So I think if we have a whole army of people that are ready to be ready and treating other people with kindness, it's going to look so unique and beautiful. And so necessary in these times. So that's how we love the best, I think. That's what I'm starting with. By the end of this year, I might have a different definition, but for now, I'm going with what I have, and I'm going to build upon it each day and each week and each month. in each year. So this week, last month I did the watch as a reminder that it takes time to be patient with yourself and with others. And this week I'm going to do something a little bit different. So the lead singer of Building 429 once said in a concert that I attended that he writes the initials of the people that he's praying for on his hand. And I thought, what a great way to remember that person, so it doesn't just become a fleeting moment. And I want to build upon that just a little bit. So I've got my trusty Sharpie marker, and I'm going to draw a little heart somewhere that I can see it every day on the top of my hand, so that every time an untrue thought comes against me, like so often, comment here, the things that you tell yourself, but the things I tell myself are, I'm unorganized, I procrastinate too much, I'm not thin enough, I'm not young enough, I should have done this whole business thing, this entrepreneurial thing years ago, I'm fluffy, my hair is too gray, on and on. So every time something like that comes up, even if you can't counter it, even if the countering truth feels untrue, so for instance, I am worthy, or I am beautiful, or I am forgiven, or I am forgiving. That's a heavy one for a lot of people, but it's a truth. I'm forgiven. In order to forgive others, it would be really hard for some people with a heavy thing to say, I am forgiving. Maybe all that you can muster up is, I'm willing to forgive. That's half of it. Man, just take that little bite, that little truth. I'm willing to forgive. And here's another lie I often tell myself, I'm not a good businesswoman. Well, me to say I am a good businesswoman would seem so far from the truth sometimes. So maybe a good halfway meeting point would be, I'm willing to learn how to be a good businesswoman. That feels a little bit more believable. So I'm going to say that instead. Give yourself a half truth if you can't accept a full truth yet. So later on, I'm going to post a bunch of truths, and then you adapt it to whatever you're feeling your weakest moment is, because the whole intent of this is to build yourself up so that you can be ready to be ready and be kind to others and yourself. So this week, I'm going to take my trusty Sharpie marker, and I'm going to draw my little heart right on my hand, so that every time an untruth comes up, I'm going to block it out. I'm going to remember, no, that's not the truth. And I'm going to counter it with the truth. So take your little Sharpie, and each time it wears off, just rewrite it. And if anybody asks you about it, tell them what's going on. Say, I'm trying to be nicer to myself. I'm trying to be a kinder person. Follow Lisa's series, and you'll get on page 2. So I hope that this rung some bells for you, maybe opened your eyes a little bit to some sleepiness you've had in your life, some unkind thoughts that have been lingering way too long. I want to be a better person. I want to be a better mom, a wife, daughter, sister. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better business owner to my customers. And in doing that, I have to dig deep into who I am and where the lies have settled in the deepest, and then pluck them out like a bad weed and refill it with something good. I am willing to be a good businesswoman. I am willing to forgive, and I'm willing to be smarter, and I'm willing to love better. So hopefully, if this rung true with you, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and ring that little bell and share it with somebody that you think needs to hear this message as well. Somebody that's maybe not kind to themselves and needs to be a little bit kinder, because that's the secret sauce. So work on that this week and look for some affirmations I'll post on the page within the next couple days. And next week, I'm going to dig into kindness towards others. That's always the harder one too. This one was equally hard. Anyway, until then, I hope you know I'm sending you much love, and I hope you have a most marvelous day. Love you much. Mwah, mwah, mwah.